Welcome back to the Detox Your Dome podcast. We have a very inspiring and insightful guest on today. Her name is Annie, and she started the brand Let's Feel Good. Let's Feel Good is a wellness brand dedicated to helping people feel their absolute best. In this episode, we talk through Annie's personal health journey and what inspired her to start Let's Feel Good. She explains how she healed her autoimmune disease and PCOS through food and lifestyle changes. We talk about the 4 pillars of health: food, exercise, sleep, and relationships, and what you can be doing in each of those categories to optimize your health. We talk about setting boundaries with work and how to balance traditional Western medicine with holistic medicine and lifestyle habits. I had so many takeaways from this conversation. Annie is truly just full of knowledge. She has so much wisdom and information to share. I know you'll come out of this episode feeling more confident in the steps you can take to heal and feel your best. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Detox Your Dome, the podcast, where we empower you with knowledge about the ingredients that make up the products that we use every day. And we help you to become a more informed consumer on your journey towards living a clean, safe, and toxin-free lifestyle. Detox Your Dome. Body, home, planet. Welcome to the Detox Your Dome podcast. We are joined today with Annie Ripp from Let's Feel Good, a brand dedicated to helping people live healthier lives. We have so much to talk about, including hormones, her personal journey to getting to this point, and what she's building with Let's Feel Good. So welcome to the podcast, Annie. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So I have so many questions, and I'm so excited to hear all about Let's Feel Good, but I want to rewind the tapes a little bit, and I want to start with what kind of got you to this point. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your particular health journey and maybe some of the things that you were experiencing that got you to the point of saying, I need to start something to help myself and to help others.
Totally. Yeah, I can start with my personal health journey. So I honestly dated back to high school. Like I just never felt well. I was bloated, fatigued, tired, anxious. I'd have energy dips. Sophia and I went to high school together. We went to a boarding school. So I lived at school, and I remember after lunch I'd go back to my dorm and I'd have like chocolate or almonds or something. I'm like, why am I so tired? Or take a nap. I just never felt great. And to be honest with you, I went to so many doctors. I went to an endocrinologist and she's like, oh, you're fine, you're fine. It was so normalized, and I kind of ended up ignoring it. I was like, okay, well, maybe nothing is wrong with me. I just don't feel great a lot of the time. And then my journey really started when I went off birth control. I was on the pill for about 10 years, maybe even a little bit more than that. And I decided to go off. I have always been pretty interested in health and wellness, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. Why am I putting this in my body every day? And when I went off the pill, I just never got a period. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? So I ended up going to, obviously got all the blood work done, went to OBGYNs, and they just kept saying, you're fine. You're just stressed. Nothing's wrong with you. Like, go back on the pill and, maybe you need IVF if you want to get pregnant one day. And I was like, what? Like, how is that the answer? And on top of that, I had honestly just like never felt, I never felt sick. I just didn't feel as good as I think I could have felt for so many years. So I kind of took it upon myself to just go figure it out. And I went to a naturopath, totally like, I didn't really believe in this stuff at that time. I was like, what is this? It feels a little woo-woo. My therapist, who's a holistic therapist, actually recommended I go to this guy up in New Hampshire. And I went in.
You know it's good when it's in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, because they take
Outta here.
insurance. Massachusetts, they don't take insurance. Yeah, for
wow.
naturopaths, which
Okay, noted. Good to know.
changed. Yeah, maybe it's changed since then, but I go to this guy and he didn't, it's funny, he didn't do blood work. He talked to me for like 2 hours, heard everything. He goes, I don't want to
This
know.
is my dream, by the way.
No, God, everyone needs to go to him. He just like really wanted to get to know me, like who I am, what I'm like, how I live a day-to-day life. And then he did, tested my, my heart rate. He saw what blood type I was. He looked at my skin. None of it was like diagnostic testing, but he just really got to understand me and the way I live my life. And then he gave me a book on how to live to help my health.
Goodness.
And
We
it
need the-
was
we need the
diet. What was that?
We need the rec. We need the title.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen so many since then. He's like forever ago. It was diet, like 80%, some supplements, sleep, meditation, how to move my body, taking out toxins in my environment, filtering my air and my water, switching to non-toxic skincare, all of that. And my health literally 180'd.
Wow.
So what I was ended up being diagnosed with at the time of feeling my worst was, and this is post-birth control, was PCOS. And that was why I wasn't getting periods. And then when they came back, they were like 80 days, 40 days, 60 days, 70 days, and then like horrible PMS, horrible cramps. Just, I wasn't ovulating all the time. Like, it was a mess. I had SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. I had an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease of your thyroid, and then, skin issues. Like, I had like breakouts around my chin, I had dermatitis, eczema, and I also weighed like 30 pounds more of literally inflammation. Like, I felt like shit. My rings I couldn't get on, my like shoes were tight. I was like, my face is puffy. I don't feel good.
And they're like, oh, you're just stressed, but you're
You're
like, no,
just
this
stressed.
is
It's
making
so
me
normalized.
stressed.
100%. And so, my primary tried to give me SSRIs for my anxiety. My OBGYN tried to put me on the pill, and then they're like, we'll deal with it when you want to have kids. My dermatologist tried to give me steroids for my skin. I'm like, what is the underlying issue?
Right.
And I changed the way I ate, moved, thought. A lot of it is emotional. And I reversed everything. Literally have 28-day cycles. My blood work does not present with any antibodies for an autoimmune disease. My skin cleared. I lost 30 pounds. My gut issues are gone, like totally resolved. The bloat, the SIBO, all through lifestyle. So this has been a journey for the past 5 years or so of mine. And then I was living in New York. I've been in venture capital my whole career. And I was starting obviously to get more curious about health and wellness. Like, well, this stuff really works. So investing in a lot of health and wellness companies. And I was, working with a lot of, especially women, 20, 30 years old, in hustle culture, type A, high stressed. And I just realized that everyone is struggling with this stuff. Like, I was one of a million. Every other woman I talked to was like, I have insomnia, I have anxiety, my hormones are funky, I have breakouts, I'm bloated, I can't lose weight. And I just realized that I just don't feel good as an epidemic. And it's also the biggest leading indicator of chronic disease, which is 85% preventable. So it was really at that point, which is in the past 2 years, where I was like, we've got to make a change. And that's kind of what inspired me to start Let's Feel Good.
Incredible. You have such an extraordinary journey, and I feel like you're the perfect face of Let's Feel Good, because you're like, I've done this and it works. My question is, I feel like, that moment that your holistic doctor, that's what you call him, a holistic doctor, he gave you that book. And I feel like a lot of people are at this point where they are feeling stressed. There are all these things that they feel like they need to change. They'll get a piece of information or they're following a creator, but it feels very overwhelming to even know where to start. And it's like, unless I change literally everything about my lifestyle, I'm not going to get better. Like, what are some ways to not feel overwhelmed, or to just take the first step in like making those differences and making those changes, and know that you're working towards like feeling better and like eventually achieving all of them?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I will also say, like, this has been probably an entirety a 10-year journey for me. The biggest changes probably happened in the past 5 years. At the start, I was afraid. Like, I became afraid of food. I was like, oh my God, if sugar is going to continue making me feel this way, I can never have sugar.
Yeah.
And the rigidity and the mindset of overwhelm is more harmful for your health than actually having the piece of cake.
Right.
So, and even if, maybe you buy a non-toxic bronzer, and then the next time your mascara runs out, you get the Ilia one, but your foundation is still Chanel. Okay, great. Two things are now not hurting your health, and they're, maybe even better for you. It's less of an impact, but we don't need to change everything at once. And I think, like, well, one, wellness is just a continuous journey. Like, I don't think we are ever perfectly healed. Like, we're always healing, we're always evolving. New things are going to crop up. We're learning more about our bodies and like how to fuel ourselves, a different state of our lives, all different things. So I think that one, it's never linear. It should never be perfect, because nothing is ever perfect. And the overwhelm of it is more harmful than the thing itself. So I think if you just start somewhere, and for some people that could be, say you go to buy lunch every day at work, instead of going to Kava that has seed oils and, that probably none of their menu is organic. Maybe go to Sweet Green. Or if you live in New York City, my favorite is Springbone. It's all organic, or I shouldn't say that. I think it's mostly organic. Seed oil free, all whole food based. Now, like, at least your lunch is better. And then you're going to start feeling better. And feeling better is probably going to motivate you to want to then cook a healthier dinner. Or instead of getting fast food takeout, you're going to choose like a whole food option. So I think start somewhere, and that could be even just what's easiest. And then just keep growing from there. Because it's like a lifetime journey. It doesn't have to happen overnight.
So for just like, you mentioned this in the beginning, you're like, a lot of it is like a mental thing, and a lot of it is all connected, right? So there's like 4 pillars: sleep, exercise, what you're putting in your body, the food that you're eating, and then your relationships.
Totally.
For each pillar, what do you do to like, feel your best?
I love that question, and it's so important because health is really all of them. I will start with sleep. The first one, usually sleep pretty well, but I have to go to bed early. So honestly, I would love to get 8 hours. That's not realistic. I don't know if it'll ever be for me. So 7 hours. Sometimes I take CBD at night. I get anxious. It's one thing that I'm actually still kind of really struggling with is on and off anxiety. So CBD and sometimes THC at night, like the gummies really help with that. When I need them, it's usually situational. So trying to like read before bed, not be on my phone and get 7 hours. But again, like I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'm on my phone and sometimes it's,
How do you track your
6:50.
sleep? Do you have
I have an
like
Aura ring.
The
I
ring.
swear by it. But I
It
will
is the
say
best thing that
I was
I've
gonna
ever
ask.
bought.
I was like, I feel like you have to have something.
it's the best thing ever. But I will say that I don't use it for sleep. It actually, I don't know if it makes me anxious. Like if sometimes I just don't sleep. Sometimes I have insomnia and I'm like, that's okay. I take my ring off. And I'm like, I don't need to see because there's
Yeah.
actually a really interesting study that came out on this, and I can forward it to you guys after.
Please do.
The level of your energy, I guess, is more dependent on how well you think you slept rather than how well you actually slept.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
get
like
psyched out.
I feel like Annie, me and you are very similar. We're like cut from the same cloth, where we're just like perfectionists.
Yes.
So if there's a score associated with anything, we're gonna try to get 100. So
A
I
hundred
see
percent.
I see what you're saying. You're like, this is making me more stressed. Like
More
I'm just gonna
stress.
tell myself that I got 100%.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. But it's good because it like I don't know, it reminds you. My Aura ring, I honestly, it's for birth control. Swear by it, best thing in the world. I sync into natural cycles, yeah, in steps, but the sleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So CBD is one thing. But
Yeah.
I also do feel like sleep is kind of is the report card with everything else in your life. I think people forget about how important it is. Do you think 7 hours is enough?
They say 7 to 9. I think it depends on the quality of your sleep too. Like if you're getting really
Totally.
deep sleep or REM,
Yeah.
I do like I feel, and I think it's dependent a bit on the person. Like everybody
Yeah.
has a different like sleep wake cycle and the amount that they need to feel good. I feel really good at 7.
All right.
It's
Perfect.
the dream, but it's hard.
I feel like your body also learns how to be a better sleeper. Like I've found I'll wake up before my alarm if I go to sleep at the same time every day. Like if I'm good for 2 weeks straight, it kind of learns how to be more efficient with my sleep, if that makes sense. Whereas times that I'm traveling or I'm just like not being good about my schedule, my sleep schedule, I will be so out of whack and I'll sleep longer hours but still feel more tired.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's
100%. Yeah.
consistency.
Yeah. Okay, so we have sleep and then what's the next category? Exercise?
Exercise.
Yes.
What's your
Strength
routine?
training. Oh my
Yes.
God. I was also laughing so hard when you guys were talking about 2016 and all the trends in your last podcast. So like 2016 was like a vibe. Like
It
I'm
was.
nostalgic for 2016 all the time. It's so funny. But 2016 was like the area of cardio, like HIIT
Yes.
training, Soul Cycle.
Annie and I definitely
I
went to a few Soul Cycle classes together.
Oh my
100
yes, I feel like Soul
100%.
Cycle like blew up 2016.
Yes.
Yes, it
was
did.
peak.
Oh my
It was
God.
peak.
So funny. But I like oddly I don't do any cardio. None.
No,
I walk a ton.
interesting.
Strength
Yep.
train and Pilates. I used to have like literally the world's weakest core. So I avoided it like the plague and I kept getting injured and I didn't know why. So I was like, I gotta build a core. So I do Pilates and lifting weights. I feel like it's so
Amazing.
And are
empowering.
we talking like 3 days a week, every single day, morning, night?
I have to move my body to feel good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's like 15,000 steps. Sometimes it's Pilates with
15, not the 10. Wow.
no. I mean,
Overachiever.
most days it's 10. Most days it's 10, but like sometimes it'll be a long walk. I try and there's honestly, to be honest with you, there's no rules or rigidity around
Yeah.
this. I just like do what I feel like doing, and I find that is
Yeah.
the most sustainable way to keep
Yeah.
up with it.
You know what's interesting? So a lot of people are like, okay, if I exercise, once a day, if I'm on my butt the entire day, but then I exercise for an hour, I'm like a healthy person. But I think it's more about the in-betweens. It's
Yeah.
more about like the burst of energy of like walking down the street or even like, I don't know, like cleaning your kitchen. Like
No,
it's-
I totally
it's
feel that. Like there's days that I'm like during the work week, I will, I'll go to the gym, but then sometimes I'm sitting at my desk for
Yeah.
9 hours straight. And then there'll be a Saturday or Sunday where I'm like, I need to clean the entire house. And I spend literally 6 hours on my feet doing laundry, dishes, cleaning, vacuuming, whatever. And I sit down at the end of the day and I'm like, I actually think I was way more active than a day that I like really pushed it in the gym.
Totally.
I also recently started strength training and I've been loving it. I feel like I'm starting to get over that hump where they call it like the like the weightlifting uglies or something, because
Yes, I
you
see
like
that.
shift
What
for
is
a little
that?
bit. It's kind of just like shifting because you're used to like cardio and you're like, okay, I feel a little snatch for the day or whatever, but it's not really making like progress over time. And say you took a week off, like you can immediately see like your progress lost. Whereas strength training, like it just is a different way to work your body. And at the first few months, you're like, this is literally doing nothing. I feel like I'm actually doing nothing, but I'm starting to get to that point. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the progress. Like it's starting to happen. I'm like, I'm getting like a little ripped.
Yeah.
Do you do classes or do you work out on your own?
Okay, so I got this app Ladder that I could not recommend more. It's like $30 a month. I was scrolling through TikTok. I'm like trying to find trainers and like influencers, people to just like follow who have like a plan that I could download or something. I was like, I feel confident using the equipment and like kind of know what to do. And just like, I don't know, playing sports my whole life. Like I definitely have done enough strength training to kind of like understand proper form and whatever, but I was like, I need a plan, like someone to like actually, for one, just to incentivize me to go, and also to feel like I'm actually making a difference, because if I just go and like randomly lift random things, I'm like, this, I don't even know if this is gonna make a difference. So I found this app Ladder, which actually a lot of fitness influencers, like they have their own team on it, so you choose your team. They have dozens and dozens of teams, like they probably have over 50 teams, and that team is like your trainer creates these workouts. They drop every week. And like right now, the team that I'm on, she has like these 6-week blocks. So like for the 6 weeks, every day is the same as like every Monday you're doing the same leg workout, so you can kind of make progress in that area. And it's literally $30 a month. There's like a team chat, so you can chat and be like, my knees hurt when I'm doing this, like why? And then the trainer can be like, oh, this is probably like what you're doing. And you can track, like there's a journal in there that you can say, oh, this was, it'll tell you this is what you lifted last week, like you squatted 40 pounds or whatever, and then you can be like, all right, let me try to up that a little bit. So it's just amazing. You can like play Spotify while you're doing it. The trainer can give you cues and like advice, or you can turn her off. Like honestly,
Wow.
this podcast is not sponsored by Ladder, but it probably should be.
I've never even heard
never
of
heard
it.
of
I
it.
Download it.
highly recommend
No,
it.
that was
No,
a great
literally do
sell.
it. It's like
Yeah, that was a pitch, Sophia.
The fact of the matter is, like, there are resources for
Yeah.
us, and there's honestly no excuse. Like,
Right.
get your freaking butt up and go
Right.
to the gym
Right.
and lift some weights.
yes,
Come on.
yes, get stronger.
Feels
Okay,
good.
so then there's food, which
Yeah.
this is going to be, of course, like a whole topic, but let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. I mean, at my core, I believe food is medicine. Food is the driver. Food and toxins and the way you move your body, like exercise and longevity, the studies are insane. But food literally makes our cells. It makes our tissues. It regulates our biological processes. Food is so important. And I think that the way that I ate when I was truly healing, I feel like I'm at a really good place now where, knock on wood, the issues are really like resolved. I have normal periods. I don't have an autoimmune disease anymore. My skin feels good. My gut's healed. So I eat a little bit differently than I used to. But when I was really healing, like I treated SIBO through eating a low FODMAP diet, and I healed my hormones by eating tons and tons of fat, a moderate amount of protein, definitely a little bit lower carb. I was detoxing estrogen. And I was trying to, PCOS is often insulin resistance of the ovaries. So to really like reverse PCOS or heal that, it was, really regulating my blood sugar. Lowering inflammation and eating super nutrient dense, tons of cruciferous vegetables, all of that for like estrogen metabolism. So food was like truly medicine in that more kind of like acute phase of my healing journey. And now it's just, I love to feel good. But
I
did
know.
I have a
I get
Levain
it.
cookie at 8 a.m. yesterday? Yes.
You should.
And I
Balance.
think that's the really cool thing too, is when and I wrote my newsletter on this last week, but when you eat well most of the time and you take care of yourself and the way you move your body, the way that you think, your relationships, lowering toxin exposure, eat really well, then you have more flexibility. Eating a cookie is not going to make you have a migraine, or, having a few too many drinks one night isn't going to kill you. And I think that our relationship with balance and flexibility and more malleability just changes depending on where we're at in our lives. So like right now I eat really well. I eat way more carbs than I used to, I'll tell you that, because I kind of like healed my metabolic health. Like I have a little bit more flexibility now because I did all of that work to repair my metabolism, strengthen my thyroid and hormones. So like tons of sweet potatoes, wild rice.
I've
tons of
been
veggies.
absolutely loving your content that you share.
One of the very first brands that I started using when I transitioned to a non-toxic lifestyle, and one that I've consistently kept purchasing products from, is Primally Pure. They have such simple yet effective products for skin, body, hair, home, and baby. They use ingredients that you can just recognize and understand when looking at the ingredient label. They also source their ingredients from farms that prioritize soil health as well as regenerative and sustainable practices. So you just know that they are the highest quality products and you can feel good about purchasing and supporting them. Okay, some pillar products that I recommend. First, their charcoal deodorant. This is the one and only clean, non-toxic deodorant that actually works for me. I've recommended it to so many people who are also now hooked. Their baby balm, even though this is for babies, this is what I use as my alternative to Aquaphor or Vaseline. I have it in all of our cars, bags. I keep it next to the bed. It's so hydrating and nourishing. I use it on my lips mainly, but also all over my body. I sometimes get eczema and just like dry, irritated skin in the winter, and it's been a huge help for that. I also cannot live without their spirulina soothing mask. I do it at least once a week. I'll do some sort of clay mask and then the Primally Pure soothing mask afterwards. Not only does it make my skin so bouncy and restored, but it also just smells so good. I swear it has like aromatherapy benefits. I'll do it every Sunday on my self-care Sundays, and it just like resets me back for the week. I recommend the soothing mask for people with dry skin, and then for people with oily, combination, or acne prone skin, I recommend the clarifying mask. Other Primally Pure products that I love are their body butters that are made with tallow. The almond and vanilla one actually makes me smell like a cookie. Their cleansing oils, their dry shampoo, their candles, shower steamers. I also gifted their lip oil to a few people over Christmas, and I've heard wonderful things. You actually just can't go wrong with anything Primally Pure. I have tried at least a dozen of their products at this point, and I've had such wonderful experiences with every single one of them. They also ship completely plastic free, which always gains points in my book. Every time I use something from Primally Pure, it really feels like I'm treating myself. All of their products just have a very elevated feeling and scent. I always say that I feel like I'm at the spa when I'm using Primally Pure. I am so happy to tell you that I can get you a 10% discount off of all Primally Pure products if you use the code DetoxYourDome at checkout. That is DETOXYOURDOME for 10% off at checkout.
There's a lot of variety in all of your plates. Like you've got the vegetables, you've got the carbs, you've got the proteins. What has been like your favorite meal that you've been making most recently?
Oh, I'm obsessed with sweet potatoes. It's kind of
So
bad.
good.
Like I have
So
like
good.
3 a day. It's crazy. I dip them in
Love.
nutso for a snack. Honestly,
Love.
like my favorite breakfast, I would say, is my favorite thing now. I used to not be a breakfast person. Scrambled eggs, olive oil, caramelized onion, really, really roasted sweet potatoes, tons of olive oil or avocado oil, arugula, and sea salt.
Love.
That's my favorite. But yeah, I think like the tip on food is real whole foods as much as possible. And then if you need to pivot to food as medicine for like a short phase of your life or a healing journey, utilize it as medicine and then go
Yeah.
back to balance. And I think
Yeah.
that it's a continuous journey of that.
Okay, I have two questions around that. The first is you mentioned the connection between carbs and estrogen. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sorry, I meant carbs more for blood sugar regulation
Oh, okay.
or like healing your metabolic health, which
Okay.
was for me the root of a lot of my hormone imbalances. And then a lot of like cruciferous vegetables. I was taking like a DIM supplement to detox estrogen.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I had PCOS, so I had it, which is like I guess
So
in
why would
most.
you need a detox estrogen?
So when you have really high estrogen, that can be like that's actually a really common hormone imbalance in women, and it puts you at higher risk of things like breast cancer. Like it's really important to make sure we're metabolizing estrogen. Your liver is what detoxes estrogen.
Okay.
So we want to support our liver. Like I was on birth control for 10 years, which can really take a hit. Your liver also is what detoxes alcohol, it detoxes pharmaceuticals, it detoxes toxins.
So your liver
So
is detoxing the birth control, and then that's kind of
exactly.
affecting your hormones further than actually putting the hormones in your body in the first place.
Exactly. So
Okay.
if you're not detoxing all of the estrogen in your body and disposing of it, your body can retake up the estrogen, and then you just have really high circulating levels of estrogen, but also things like endocrine disruptors, which
Yep.
obviously you guys are experts in, but all of that can lead to estrogen dominance as well, which is a really common hormone imbalance. So the way that what I was working on is like tons of cruciferous vegetables. I was
And what
taking
are those?
broccoli,
Okay.
cabbage,
Greens, the leafy
cauliflower,
greens.
leafy greens, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And then things like
Whole Foods queen is who you
whole
are.
fruits, yeah. And then like dandelion root is really good.
Oh my gosh, I
Milk
literally
thistle.
made
Is
over
that?
last spring, I like learned the fact that you can eat dandelions and you can eat like their root is really great to make into tea, and then you can also eat the flowers. And I was like, no way. And it was right in the springtime, and our yard had so many dandelions, and my mom was like coming over for lunch, and I was like, Mom, we're making dandelion sandwiches. And I literally made us go outside. Yeah, so we went out and you want to like dig up the roots. So we like harvested like 50 dandelions. We fried the flowers and we put them in a sandwich, and then the roots, we dried the roots in like my toaster oven, and then you brew it into tea. And like dandelion root tea has so many incredible health benefits. I couldn't name them right now, but like it was one of those things that it's like, this is a weed that grows in your lawn, but we're so taught to not see like our surrounding environment as food, but there is food everywhere, and like we should look to the earth as food. There's an amazing creator, I'll tag her in the show notes, who talks all about this. I think I like watched one of her videos or something, and I was just like inspired. I was like, all right, let's go and eat some dandelions, and it was delicious.
That's so funny. I would not, and they're everywhere. They're like
everywhere
to most people that they pluck.
And it's literally, and it's funny, last weekend I was like, I need to just reorganize my pantry. It was one of those days when you're like, everything's just looking crazy in here. It needs just a good reorg. And I found like the rest of the dandelion roots, and I was like, these could probably go now. Like, spring's around the corner. I'll dig up some new ones if I want them for the spring. Yeah.
That's so
okay.
funny.
I also see you post a lot about like hormone healing dinner, like hormone healing breakfast. Like you post these beautiful bowls. What, like, talk to us a little bit more about that. Is it the similar thing of like detoxing the estrogen? What are other ways that you can heal your hormones through food?
Yeah, I just think it's balance. I think whole foods as much as possible. I mean, I really recommend to take wait, this is crazy. Why am I blanking on it? What is that hormone test? I'm sorry, the Dutch hormone test. One of the most accurate ways to.
No, I've never heard of this. And I was going to ask you, like, are there tests that we can use to test our hormones at home, or like, do you have to go to a doctor for this? Like, if someone just wants to learn more, what's their first step here?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert at this stuff. I've obviously been through it myself, but the Dutch test is it's a urine test. It's the most, I think it's a urine test. Don't quote me on this. Okay. That is the most accurate way to test your hormones. Because sometimes when you go and get your blood work done, it's like at a point in time, and depending on where you're at in your cycle, it's not really indicative of like your actual hormonal picture.
Okay.
But blood work, I'd recommend the Dutch test. The best is to work with a functional medicine doctor. And yeah, I mean, like the most common things are like estrogen dominance is so common, and that can lead to a host of symptoms like heavy and painful periods and tender breasts and PMS, lengthy periods, clotting, and then like low progesterone can lead to anxiety or spotting. There's a lot of different versions of hormonal imbalances, and so many of them can be healed through food. I think the biggest unlocks for me is just taking out any processed foods, taking out the sugars, and then eating really, like, we need carbs. Women need carbs. And I think that got talk about like the 2016 chaos.
Yeah,
like things
no carbs,
like no carbs,
fasting, like crazy.
Yeah,
totally,
listening to Betty Wap.
Oh my god. Yeah, literally.
Soul cycle, Betty Wap, no
HIIT
carbs.
Training. It's just like stress. And if you have no carbs in your diet, then you're putting your body at stress.
Right.
Your thyroid is what regulates your metabolism, and we need carbs for a healthy thyroid. So things like incorporating a whole food based carb. So potatoes are actually great for your hormones. Sweet potatoes. I love Japanese sweet potatoes. Quinoa, wild rice. I've been super into brown rice pastas that is just like organic brown rice. No fillers, no emulsifiers, no gums.
What's the brand you go for?
I have it. Jovial. Organic brown rice pasta. Yeah.
Okay. I will look for it.
What about like, I mean, I agree with you. It's like eating whole foods, but also having a sort of balance, 80-20 balance, and about like eating more than less and adding more instead of like taking it away.
Exactly.
But it's hard when you're like in your 20s and you want to go out to eat with your friends and you have all these plans and all these social things that you're going to. How do you navigate eating well when you're out and about?
Yeah, I think, well, again, this depends on where you're at. So like, I really hate the restriction, black and white, all or nothing mentality. Like, if you are genuinely feeling really good and you go out, and if you want the chicken, get the chicken. If you want the pasta, have the pasta. Like, believe me, it's not going to affect your health.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I hate the whole fear mongering and like black and white around diet. If you doesn't make you feel great, like, eat what's going to feel good on your body. And I think sometimes we have a higher capacity to tolerate foods that like aren't perfectly healthy. And then sometimes that tolerance is a little bit lower and we have to listen to that. But I think like generally, I always sauces don't make me feel good. They usually have a lot of like seed oils and hidden sugars, just ingredients that we don't need. Like well, typically when I go out to dinner, because I like to feel like good and energized and wake up feeling really good, I'll typically do like a fish or a chicken. I love ordering chicken. It's usually really, especially if it's like a brick chicken. I'll leave the cream or the sauces on the side and I'll get it with vegetables or potatoes or double vegetable. I think like the way, if you're ordering out for lunch every day, that's something to really watch because it's like what compounds over time. But the biggest things to watch out for are like the sauces, the seed oils.
So what I feel like everyone's talking about seed oils right now. I'd love for like a beginner's understanding, like what constitutes a seed oil. Are these oils that you're often cooking with at home, or it's really just when you're getting food when you're out to eat?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they sell it at the grocery store, like
Yeah.
canola oil or vegetable oil.
Yep.
Seed oils are just highly processed,
Okay.
refined oils. So they undergo like a lot of processing to make them. They're cheaper, they last longer on the shelves. They don't really taste like anything and they're not good for us. They can lead to like oxidative stress. They create a lot of inflammation in our bodies. Typically, we would not have them at home, like the oils that we cook with at home. The best is like for high heat avocado oil or even ghee, which is just clarified butter. If you don't have a dairy allergy, grass-fed butter is great. Olive oil, extra virgin organic olive oil. Sometimes it can be cut with canola oil, so you just want to make sure that it's like the real deal.
Yep.
And then seed oils, they're not going to kill you once in a while, but if you're eating them every day, they're just inflammatory. They're highly processed, refined oils. So they're just inflammatory and not great on your body every day. Like my go-to is Sweetgreen because they don't use any seed oils anymore.
Okay. And how did you find this information out? Are you like Googling their menus?
Yeah, you can ask what
Okay.
oils, like Whole Foods, the Whole Foods hot bar. So they'll have
Okay.
tags. It'll be like
Oh,
broccoli,
okay.
olive oil, and sea salt, and they still use canola oil. I
Okay.
think that they're getting rid of it, but it'll say canola oil, and that
Okay.
one you would avoid. So like
Okay.
the ones to avoid are like canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil. The other place where they're hidden a lot is in nuts. Like nuts are an
Oh.
amazing snack for like,
Yeah.
energy to stabilize your blood sugar. But if you go to Trader Joe's, buy dry roasted, or anywhere you go, buy dry roasted or raw, because oftentimes they're roasted in seed oils.
Okay. Dry
Yeah.
roasted.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit, you were talking about your getting to this point of starting Let's Feel Good, and you were living in New York, you're working, and I've a lot of things that I'm like hearing, and something you mentioned is just like hustle culture, and things that I've seen people talk about is like how this is sort of geared towards men, and especially when thinking about like a woman's cycle over the course of 28 days and how men are more geared towards like day and night. How do you feel like that impacted, or like do you have an experience with that when you were in hustle culture? Like how do you think that impacts women in the workplace?
Oh my God, I could go on and on about this. I mean, I was definitely, and this is like for sure. I think, to be honest with you, like this is another conversation. I think every single disease and illness is rooted in emotions. Like,
Okay.
I don't, if you,
Ooh, tell me more.
an amazing book to read is When Your Body Says No, is amazing. And it's all about like literally it links diseases to an emotional root.
Wow.
But if you think about it, like if you chronically eat really unhealthy food, it is usually an emotion driving you to that action. Like even if like another book is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. She also says like, she was diagnosed with cancer and she rooted it to stuck emotions. And if you want to think about it in like a really practical sense, I think if you have emotions that you're not feeling, that you're ignoring, that you're not processing, it drives you to do certain things. Like maybe you're drinking too much, maybe you're vaping or smoking cigarettes to like, distract yourself. Maybe you're overeating or eating really poor foods. Maybe you don't want to exercise. So you can think about it like really tangibly in that sense that a stuck or clogged emotion or just honestly like not feeling healthy and embodied and present in how you actually feel can just lead you to poor behaviors over time, and that's like a very obvious line to a disease,
Yeah.
or to just not feeling well, and then over time that can compound into a chronic illness.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a lot of really interesting research too that when you feel something and you don't process it, like emotions are energy in motion, or sorry, yeah, an emotion is energy in motion. It gets clogged in your body and it gets stuck and it creates stagnantness, and it makes like your systems just not function as optimally. So it's very, very, very interesting. I think with me, I had a lot of perfectionist tendencies. I always thought harder was better. Um, like literally I was so freaking extreme. I like had to go to a really good college. I had to get straight A's when I like, if I got like a 95, I would cry. Like that is not normal. That is like where was
This
that
sounds
coming
like me.
from?
This is
No,
me to a T.
literally.
It's so hard because, when you're growing up, you're kind of tied to your accomplishments. It's a part of your
Yeah.
identity. And then when it's showtime, when it's time to work and you are not accomplishing or at the stage where you want to be, then you stress out and it impacts your gut and it impacts your mental health and it impacts everything. And so it's all connected. But how did you, like, I guess you said like my emotions were like clogged. Like how
Yeah.
did you navigate that? Did you go to a therapist? What was the next step?
To be honest with you, that is what I'm doing right now. Like that work, it's so easy to focus on like the bloat
Mm-hmm.
or the skin breakouts or where's my period? How can I eat better? How can
Mm-hmm.
I perfect this? How can I take my supplements at the right time every day? That is the really easy
Yeah,
stuff.
because you can control that
Because
stuff.
you
Yeah.
can control it. And like, sometimes I wonder, did I have all of these issues because I was so stuck in control?
Mm-hmm.
That part of healing is obviously, eating to help your health, but then releasing control. And it's funny because once like the healing work is done, which is really time consuming, it allows you to totally distract yourself. It is a way to preoccupy your mind and always be solving something. You're kind of left with the emotions underneath it. So I think that like the second layer of work for a lot of these issues is the emotional work, and that's what I'm doing right now. So like a lot of that is like honestly learning how to sit with discomfort. Every morning, like I sit with myself, call it meditation, call it just sitting, but being like, what do I feel? Where is that in my body? Like where is that coming from? What's the fear? And
Hmm.
then can I work on like not solving it or like not reacting to it and just like
Right.
being in it? Because I really believe, and I think too, like being such a perfectionist and like so my like happiness or my sense of self-worth or my feeling of honestly, I think the biggest one was like feeling safe in the world
Mm.
was so rooted in an accomplishment. I was like, if I have a prestigious job or I graduate from a prestigious school or I'm top of my class, like somehow that equates to me being safer. And like, of
Yeah.
course, that is like just a
And
totally
you're
false
always
sense.
going to be chasing like something else, right? Even if you get the perfect job and you're making the money that you want to be making, it's always going to be another thing.
Always.
How did you, like, I guess you were in this like hustle job. How did you navigate that job? Like, did you end up leaving? Is that why you're in a better space, or did you
Yeah.
have a tough conversation with your
Yeah.
boss?
My first job out of school, yeah, it was for sure hard. I was in private equity. I was investing in B2B SaaS companies, so like later stage technology companies. And yes, it was definitely like a rigorous financial job. I think at the time I loved it. I worked with really good people. So that like the hours weren't horrible because I worked
Nice.
with just such amazing human beings. And then I had a little bit of a wake up call. Was in a really tough job with not people that I want to be working for. It was not a good environment, and that is what really shook me. I was
Mm.
like, what
Gotcha.
am I doing?
Yeah.
It was hustle culture to the T, like probably 100 hours a week,
Oh,
every weekend, 7 days a week. Yeah, that was bad. And that was a big turning point for me because the job I took after that, I straight up in my final round interview, I asked my boss, who was like a male 33-year-old, I go, "Do you expect me to work weekends? If I have dinner plans with a friend at 5:30 on a Wednesday, can I leave work to go?" Because
Right.
I was not going to accept the job unless
Yeah.
I'm
I
so
was
glad you
able to
asked those
months.
questions.
And I
Hell
think
yeah.
we need to. And like
Right.
the other thing is like at that job, it was amazing. The people were incredible. I really did love it. I definitely set boundaries, and I think we all need to set boundaries. And it is so vital to have boundaries. And like our life is not, it's not hustle culture. Like that is going
Right.
to make you run in quicksand forever and probably not make you feel very good. But one thing I really struggled with at that job, I was in the office 5 days a week, and is when I was finally getting a period back, and I had horrible cramps. So like 2 days out of every month, I was throwing up all day. Like I
How
couldn't
did
go
you
to
get
work.
a period back when you were in like your most stressful state? Like, was it because you were doing all the food stuff and everything else?
Yeah, but this
Okay.
job wasn't. My last job in New York was not. It was in venture, like it was in that industry, but it was a really good culture. Like I had great, and some of the boundaries I set, like I would be like, I'm leaving work at 5. I have workout. Like hard lines. Like if
Hmm.
this isn't the vibe, I will
Yeah.
move on. Like,
Right.
and
Like,
you
fire
need
me. You
Right.
won't.
literally, because like
What are
self-respect.
right? What are some tips that you could give to other women in the workplace who are trying to set boundaries? Like maybe specific things that you say or specific actions. Like what are some tips you have?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think just being really honest of like, your health is a priority. Like, your life outside of work is a priority. Your relationships, your friendships, your family.
Right.
I think like not being afraid to say no, like I don't have the capacity for this, or hey, like, you asked me to do these 5 things. What would you rank as like your first 2 to 3 priorities? Because I don't know if I can get through all of them this week. I'm happy to go into next week with them. Or,
That's a great one.
how important is this project over the weekend? I'm home visiting my family, happy to look at it on the flight back Sunday night, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time on Saturday. Like, set
Yes.
hard lines.
Yeah.
Love it.
I
Yeah.
I love
also
it.
think like I was in, and I still am. I still work in venture, and it's a bit different now. We're investing exclusively in health and wellness companies, so it's a very different vibe than investing in B2B tech companies. But I'm still in the industry, and like I was in the heat of it in New York. I was in accelerators. We were both building and investing in ideation stage companies, and there was this narrative, especially in New York. I think maybe a little bit in the kind of like big tech beds, that harder is better.
Yeah.
And it drove me insane. And it's really funny because I would sit in like, meetings with a group of founders or founders and investors, and people would be bragging about how late they were up or like that they coded this at 3 a.m. or whatever.
Hmm.
And then if you catch someone on the side, they're like, I'm so fucking tired. Or
Yeah.
like, I just want to leave. And I'm like, if we all collectively redefine the narrative, this won't be a thing anymore. Like, none of us individually want this.
Right.
It's what
Nobody
we
wants to be
It's
up at
not
3 a.m.
cool. It's
Yeah.
not
It's not
cool
cool.
to be
It's
up at
not
night.
cool.
No, like I want my 100% sleep score. Thank you very much.
Yes.
It is not cool. But I do think that
I
like
feel like these like whoops and aura rings are starting to make that
Yeah.
change because now it's it's cool to have your wearable in the office and maybe that can be part of the culture shift.
yes,
I think
totally.
it totally depends on the company. It totally depends on like the people that you surround yourself.
So there was a study that came out in February that showed just how much plastic is accumulating in our brains. This study, published in the Nature Medicine journal, found that the weight of plastic in our brains may be equivalent to that of a plastic spoon, which is terrifying to think about. They also noticed that there were higher levels of microplastics in the brains of people who had been diagnosed with dementia compared to the brains of those without dementia. Microplastics and PFAs are truly everywhere, including our water systems. They're in our tap water, our fresh water, our oceans. I'm really trying to dedicate this year to finding ways to mitigate plastic in my life and especially in my home. One actionable way that I've found to do this is to filter out the PFAs and microplastics from my water. And I'm not just talking about my drinking water, but also my shower water. I specifically chose the Weddle Water Shower Duo because it's the only shower filter on the market that has been verified to filter out PFAs and microplastics, along with all the other general contaminants like chlorine and heavy metals. All the other shower filters I was looking at are really focused on chlorine and general contaminants, which is amazing, but I ended up choosing the Weddle Water filter because it had that added benefit of mitigating those microplastics and PFAs, which was also super important to me and just made this specific filter stand out to me. I also really liked that it was truly just a filter. Like, I didn't have to replace my entire shower head. I personally love my shower head and I didn't want to have to change the entire thing. The install took no more than 10 minutes and it was super easy and it just looks really nice in my shower. I honestly love the design and look of it. At this point, I'm sure you've heard the benefits of filtering your shower water. Not only can this have a positive impact on your overall health, but it's also beneficial on your skin and your hair. You can achieve all of those benefits with the added bonus of mitigating those plastics and PFAs with the Weddle Water Shower Duo. You can get 10% off your next purchase from Weddle Water by using the code DETOXYOURDOME at checkout. Weddle Water is spelled WEDDELL, and you can use the code DETOXYOURDOME, DETOXYOURDOME for 10% off your next order.
So you mentioned relationships, which is the last pillar. So tell me about how you maintain your relationships and how that impacts your overall happiness.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so important. I think like the biggest thing is your girlfriends are above everything
Yeah.
else. And like that is so important. Like I don't know, I think about it like I get overwhelmed easily. I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
have so much stuff to do tonight. And a friend will call me. I'm like, this could be an hour conversation. Take the call.
Right.
Like
Oh my gosh,
the
yeah.
laundry and the email can wait. Like
Right.
I think there is no better healing energy and positive environment to be around than your girlfriends.
Oh,
So
I love it.
That is like the most important. Obviously, like family and just relaxing. Like I used to talk about type A. I probably sound crazy saying all this out loud, but it's probably relatable to more than I think. But like I remember weekends where I'd be like, if I'm not like reading something productive or like
Right.
then I'm not gonna be doing as well or like things are gonna go awry.
Mm.
And now I practice just like leaving the phone. Like if I'm with my
Yeah.
family, just dissociate. Like if you're with a friend, like just hang out and do nothing all day. Like it
Right.
is so healthy. And it's also like genuinely the point of life. So
Right.
The
We've
secret to
forgotten how to
happiness.
just enjoy.
Like, let's make being horizontal cool again.
There is
Really?
no better feeling than like doing your like it's a Wednesday night. You've done your laundry, you're painting your nails, and you're watching the Kardashians. Like
yep.
I just feel like nobody talked to me. I'm so happy and content
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
So good. It's so
Um,
good.
Okay, so going back a little bit to work, I know we're talking about relaxing, but going
Yeah.
back to work, I'd love to learn about the work you're doing now and investing in health and wellness companies. And what are you noticing? Are there certain patterns? Like, what are some of your favorite companies that you've learned about recently? What's going on in the market?
Totally. Yeah. So where I work for an early stage fund, so we're a pre-seed fund and invest exclusively in health, wellness, and active lifestyle companies. So it's really fun. I mean, like
Amazing.
literally dream job on paper.
Yeah.
And I think the most interesting, we invest in companies that have a tech component to it. So if
Okay.
it's like pure CPG or hardware, it wouldn't be a fit, but like Aura would because they have a tech component.
Yep.
What I keep seeing in the market is companies like obviously holistic health and like lifestyle driven medicine and preventative medicine is blowing up. More and more people are aware of it. People are really honed in. Like it's cool. It's trendy
Right.
now. Thank
Yeah.
God to like take
Right.
care of yourself. But I think that, and this is it's interesting. 'Cause this is one of my visions for Let's Feel Good, like over time, and I'm seeing a lot of people building in this space. Is if you go to a holistic doctor, they don't take insurance. You have to pay out of pocket. They're hard to find. It's still a little bit woo-woo.
You go
Like
to
it's
New
not
Hampshire.
you gotta go to New Hampshire. Your appointment is 10 hours. There's a lot of companies, and I think this is one of the most interesting plays in the health and wellness space right now of companies that are leveraging technology to democratize access to holistic healing.
Wow.
So they're like tech
Wait, say that again a little slower.
they're leveraging technology to democratize access to holistic healing. So
Interesting.
instead of like paying 5K out of pocket for all your blood work, all your testing, an appointment with a naturopath in New Hampshire, you go to Function Health, like Mark Hyman's new company, and you
Okay.
pay a flat rate of $4.99 a year and you get blood work, very comprehensive blood work twice a
Yep.
year. Really in-depth biomarkers and understanding of like how to eat, what supplements to take, what the biomarkers mean. Companies that do this like, Alera, Mala, Femgevity. I looked at two really early stage ones last week, but a lot of them have a tech component, so they make it less expensive, more accessible. And then they will have either like full-time staff of doctors or nurse practitioners or holistic MDs,
Mm-hmm.
or like contracted out, or they run it through AI. And it allows more personal, preventative, holistic medicine at scale for a lower cost. And that is like those are my
Incredible.
favorite
That's
companies right
amazing.
now.
So,
Dream.
but that is not covered by insurance.
Some
Yet.
are. I mean, like a lot of them are HSA, FSA.
Yep.
A lot of them would take that.
Okay.
And some are getting covered by insurance, which is
Yeah.
Incredible.
really cool.
And for you, like when you look at the year ahead, like are you seeing these like functional or holistic doctors? Are you going to Brigham and Women's, MGH? Like what is your like checkups look
Right.
up for you?
I was thinking the same thing.
Right.
Like what's a good balance between the holistic doctors and then your traditional Western medicine? And like something that I'm adamant about with Detox Your Dome is everything being rooted in science and evidence. And I feel like there is a balance to be had between the two. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and advice on how people can manage both of those and know that they can exist at the same time.
That is so important. I think what's really interesting is like traditional medicine was not meant to treat chronic diseases. Like chronic diseases are diseases of like our modern lifestyle, and
Okay.
85% of them are lifestyle driven. Traditional medicine is so important and it will never go away. Like if you break your arm, like I don't know what a naturopath is going to do for you.
Right.
There's not a supplement that's going to heal your bones.
Yep.
If you have a staph infection or a I don't know, an infection of any kind, or you need a surgery, like
Right.
you can't take an herb for that. Like
Right,
we
right.
cannot diss traditional medicine for holistic medicine. Like the two have to work together. I think it is
Yep.
a total synergistic relationship, and one is just as important as the other. What I think we need to realize collectively as a society is that traditional medicine is not healthcare. It's sick care. It's acute and reactive. In healthcare, we are the providers of. Like our primary care physician is not going to keep us healthy. They're going to prevent us from getting sick, or they're going to treat a sickness.
Mm-hmm.
But like we are the providers of our healthcare, and our healthcare is like our lifestyle. So 85% of chronic disease is lifestyle driven. I think honestly, even more of it probably is. And if you go to traditional medicine for it, like they will have an answer. They'll give you a medication or a prescription, but it doesn't heal the root cause.
Yeah.
So like that is where I would try to start with holistic, preventative, lifestyle-driven approaches.
Okay.
And then we
Yeah.
utilize traditional for acute and reactive care and
Mm-hmm.
getting our screenings, going to our physical, getting a pap smear, going to the
Yeah.
dentist twice a year.
Right.
I go to the dermatologist twice a year to get my skin checked. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
some of
it's
it,
important to like get those metrics checked, and but I also think it's hard because I don't know how to read a lot of this data.
yeah.
Right.
So how did you learn that on your own, or do you like lean on doctors for that? How do you
Yeah.
know?
I wish there was a perfect solution for that because I went misdiagnosed for so many years. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had literally had an autoimmune disease that I went to a pretty highly trained like Mass General doctor, an endocrinologist, and she tested my TSH, which is your thyroid, like your kind of general thyroid metric, and it was like 4.5, which is within normal ranges in
Okay.
traditional medicine, but very out of range when you're looking like subclinically. And so I thought I was normal. I didn't know what 4.5 meant. I didn't even know
Yeah.
what TSH was. I was like, oh, okay, nothing's wrong with my thyroid. I full on had an autoimmune disease that went misdiagnosed.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's where like I wish I knew the perfect solution because I think the
Right.
ranges are just like not great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think
never went to the naturopath and they were like, whoa, 4.5 isn't normal. Let's test your thyroid antibodies. Oh no, we do have an autoimmune disease. I would have never reversed it or healed it and put it into remission. And if I let that continue, it could have led to low thyroid, which is like your
Wow.
thyroid really stops functioning.
Wow.
So I wish there was like the perfect answer. I think
Yeah.
I pray to God traditional medicine kind of adjusts their ranges and they go a little bit more preventative and subclinical. But for now, I think it's like if something doesn't feel right, don't stop until you get answers.
Yeah.
Even if they're offer you a medication or even if they're like you're normal, like don't worry about this and it doesn't feel right to you, like go deeper.
you have to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah,
Like no one's
you
gonna
do.
save you,
Right.
and you just you have to fight for it.
Right.
That's
Totally.
such a good point.
So from the point that that naturopathic doctor gave you that book, how much later was it until you actually felt better? Like how much work do you feel like you had to do until you really started to see results and feel a change in the progress that you were making?
Yeah. I think as soon as he handed me that book, I think I felt a little bit
Oh,
better
Okay,
because I felt
send the
really
book.
yes, we need it.
literally. Well, it was personalized. That's what's so cool about it. Yeah, it was like
Interesting.
how to eat. So my sister also went,
Interesting.
and her book was so different than mine. Like mine was
We gotta
really
go get
like,
these books,
All right, we're
Monica.
going to
yeah,
New
like
Hampshire.
my top food was
Clear your
rice.
schedule, Monica. We're going. Okay, so tell us about Let's Feel Good. Tell us about what you're building.
Yeah, so Let's Feel Good. It's funny. It started, I left my job to start Let's Feel Good in
Oh wait,
July of
I
last
did
year.
not know that.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah.
Congrats.
I wanted a break. Like I'd been in venture for 5 years. I wanted to get out of the rat race, and my goal is to just have my own company, to have
Yeah.
a lifestyle business that I run. But at the time, it wasn't a lifestyle business. I
Okay.
wanted to build kind of what I was talking to you guys about earlier. I wanted to build a tech company that would leverage technology to democratize access to holistic healing.
Yep.
I'm not going to give all my secrets away because I think I will build this at some point, but
Love.
it's a very like venture-backed model. I would have had to raise capital, find a CTO. I'm obviously not technical. So I spent a few months like toying on building that out. And then for a lot of reasons, the biggest being the way I want my lifestyle to look, I was like, I don't want to raise venture money and I
Yeah.
don't want to build like a tech company right now.
Yep.
So I restructured it into a lifestyle business called Let's Feel Good. What it really is, my goal is to make feeling good, cool. Like empower, especially women, to want to take control of their health to feel really good today. And then the byproduct is that they'll most likely prevent or increase their lifespan, their longevity, and prevent chronic disease. What the objective is to help, it's like kind of lifestyle implementation guides. So it's how can we're a recommendation engine. So think like Strictly the Good Stuff. If you follow her, she gives really good recommendations for travel. Wirecutter on the New York Times. Like if you're looking for a vacuum or you're looking for a new mattress, you're going to go to a trusted site.
Yep.
We're that for health and wellness.
Nice.
So we have tried and tested all the stuff on the market, and we recommend the best of the best with education. So if we're recommending a sunscreen or a bronzer, why is non-toxic important? If we're recommending a meal prep list, like why are these foods better for us? Why are processed foods bad? And then we're recommending the best of the best that we've tried, tested, they truly work, and they're truly better for you.
Yeah.
So if you come to us for a bronzer recommendation because you think that we recommend good stuff and you don't really care about that it's clean for you, great. Now you have one thing in your life that is better for you and not bad for you.
Right.
And the goal is to help people reconstruct their habits from the foods that they buy to how they order on a menu to how they stock their pantry to their skincare cabinet to what they put in their home over time, whether you're buying it from us because you or through our recommendation because it's you care that it's better for you or because you think we just give high quality recommendations. It doesn't really matter. Over time, you now have a lifestyle that is going to help your health, not hurt it.
That is awesome.
That's the goal. We just moved to Substack last week. So there are 2 newsletters. One is Sunday Wellness, which is kind of just like things we're loving, things we're listening to, educational pieces, and then wellness guides, which are mostly all under a paywall. And those are really formalized guides. So it's like, one could be how to stay healthy when traveling or how to restock your pantry, how to reconstruct your home with non-toxic options. And they're educational and then tactical and then implementation. So we're actually recommending the right stuff. And then there's a group chat that like we'll get off and going, which is supposed to be just like a wellness group chat.
I can't wait to join.
Yes, you have to join.
So what are your favorite non-toxic products that you're loving right now?
Oh boy, my favorite non-toxic. Well, one is the Kinship sunscreen.
Okay, haven't tried it.
That it's really good from Credo.
Okay.
Anything from Credo.
Yes, Credo is like.
We went to the original store.
We did. We were in San Francisco in January, and I was
literally
like,
stumbled in.
yeah. And I was like, Monica, we have to go to the Credos here. Like they have like 4 or 5, and so we stumble in, and they're like, oh no, this is the original location. We're like, perfect. We talked to the women there for probably an hour and a half.
That's so cool.
It was awesome.
I'm obsessed. Yeah, the Kinship sunscreen's really good. And then Dr. Rogers, I got this in a goodie bag from another really cool company. And it's like a cleaner version of Aquaphor. And I'm obsessed with Aquaphor. So that was an unlock. Yeah.
Love that. That's a question I get asked a lot. I also love I love Waxaline, uses like mainly beeswax, and then also the Primarily Pure Baby Balm. One of my family friends, she has young kids, and she was like, I got this Primarily Pure Baby Balm when I had babies for like diaper rash and whatever. She's like, I ended up using it for myself. I use it like as chapstick. I use it on like my skin, and she's like, I have it in every drawer, every room of the house, and now I've also followed suit. Like I have it in our cars, our bags, next to the bed. It's the best.
I need to buy this after.
Yes, definitely. I will.
Okay, my final question is, if you were to give advice to yourself 5 years ago, what would you tell yourself?
To chill out. Honestly, like life is not that serious.
Yeah.
Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. And you know what the biggest thing is like move towards joy. I was my friend and I went to the Gabby Bernstein talk in Boston last week.
I love her.
She's amazing. And someone asked, she was like, how do you find like alignment is what feels so good in life. Mm. So like, how do we figure out like the right job for us, the right relationship for us, the right friendship, the right city to live in? And she's like, don't try and solve the world. She was like, just lean into joy. And like, whether it's micro joy or large joy, like over time that compounds into an aligned life.
Yeah. I love
that. Just like, yeah, I used to live with such a mindset of like, I need to like solve my 50-year plan as a freshman in college. And it's like, what would happen if we all
just live in the moment, be in the present. Like it's not that serious.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is comparison is the thief of joy, especially in this age of social media and just like content like consumption. It's just, and I guess just being a 20-year-old and like trying to figure out my career path, and like just being in the stage of life where you're really trying to figure out so many different aspects of like, what do you want your life to look like? I feel like the minute that I start looking at other people and trying to like look at other people as comparison, that's when my joy stops. And that's when I start to feel stressed, and that's when I start to feel unhappy. I think it's positive to look at people who are role models and who've created lives that like you really admire, but like, you just have to go inwards and say like, what actually makes me happy? Like, what do I want to be doing? How do I envision it? And then creating a path around that.
Right, and surrounding yourself with people that are making you feel good and uplifting you. Like, it's
Your girlfriends.
your
the best.
girlfriend.
Yes. Yes. And I think too, like I'm 29 and things shift. Like a lot of my friends are getting engaged.
Being in your 20s is so freaking hard.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much happening every year. It's like so different.
But it's like live in the moment, be in the present, and just like we have control of our life. We have control of our health. We are our own advocates. Our bodies are our temples, and like there's no better time than to like just focus on yourself right now.
Thank you so much for being on, Annie. This was so incredible. I already know that we're going to have you on for a second episode down the line because I feel like we could go deeper into each one of these questions.
And
you
I
have so
feel
much
like I just
insight.
made a friend. Like you're just so cool. You're so fun.
Thank you guys. This was so
Thank you
much
so
fun.
much.
I love what you're building.
Thank you. Are you able to do like a free code to like one of your guides? Maybe we could do a giveaway.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We will do workout details of a giveaway. You can follow the Instagram account of Detox Your Dome and Let's Feel Good for more details so you guys can get a free guide from Let's Feel Good and get all the incredible information that they are spreading.
Yay.
Let's feel good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Let's Feel
guys.
Good.
Bye.
Bye.